Hello, everybody. Welcome to our newest podcast for the community of Kiawah Island. My name is Michael Heidingsfelder, and I'm one of your elected town council members of Kiawah Island. I'm here for our newest podcast, which I think is very exciting, both for me as an engineer and a 20-year property owner. But I welcome to our fire chief, Ryan Kunitzer. Thank you for being here today, Ryan. It's a great honor to have you here as the representative, the head, the chief of the St. John's Fire Department. And in that function, you're basically the head of every fireman and woman that serves here on the island, correct?
Correct. Thank you, Councilman, for having me. It's a pleasure to serve as the fire chief for St. John's. We cover a wide area, which we'll get into a lot, but we have a staff of 145 people that we're like our own little mini city as well, too. So we do our own human resources, finance, as respond to your emergencies as well, too.
So let's start right here, Chief. I think all of us here on the island, full-time, part-time property owners, guests, visitors, tourists, of course know that we have a fire department, right? They drive by here, station number 4 at Sorrel Rail. They drive by station 6 at the intersection of Flyway and Ocean Course Drive, Governor's Drive. But help us to understand a little bit more, what actually is the St. John's Fire Department? What is your area of responsibility? What are you doing?
Sure. So St. John's Fire Department, the boring stuff is we were created with an act by the state legislature way back in 1959. A lot of this area was very rural, unincorporated, and the state legislature said, we need to have fire protection and emergency services in a lot of these areas, not just our area. So they created all of these different fire departments in these areas that weren't incorporated towns and cities and things like that. So that's how St. John's Fire District came to start, was an act of legislature. And it started as a volunteer organization and has worked its way steadily up to what it is today. Like I said, 145 full-time employees. About 126 of those are in operations themselves, too. So right here on Kiawah Island, there's 2 fire stations. You're probably very familiar with them if you're riding your bikes by, or maybe we've come to your home for an emergency. And what we provide is, what I say is kind of an all-encompassing service. Whether you've got a water leak in your home, or the cat is stuck in the tree, we do some of that, or if it's a serious medical emergency, we're going to come and help as much as we can.
Yeah, I think this is something that maybe not everybody realizes. I mean, a fire department is here to protect us when there's a fire. But you do so much more. And I remember, probably one of the first times I came to Kiawah as a tourist, I got stuck in an elevator I think it was windswept, right? Door closed, nothing worked. I was there with my family and some other renters, I believe, and we were stuck. So we pushed a button. Mm-hmm. Somebody almost instantly answered and said, somebody will be with you. And we all looked at us in the elevator and said, yeah, sure. But indeed, a few minutes later, the door opened. We heard, noise, and the door opened, and we were all surprised that there was the fire department.
Right.
Which was very exciting for my son. He was very little. Sure. One of you guys carried him down the stairs, so he will never forget that. But help us to explain a little bit more. I mean, you go far beyond the fire purpose.
I like to say our people are kind of a jack of all trades kind of thing. Our personnel work right now 2 days on and then they're off for 4 days. Well, in their time off, a lot of our personnel are electricians, plumbers, they do construction work, and they take those skills and bring them to us as the fire department as well, too. So whether, like you said, it's stuck in an elevator, we've got tools for that. Whether it's a bad car accident and you commonly hear them called the jaws of life and things like that, because your door's stuck, we need to get you out. But the big thing we do is medical emergencies, whether that's a stingray bite, a sting, or you've got low blood sugar, or something more serious like a cardiac arrest. All our personnel are trained to respond to your emergency, even if it's a medical, and start providing aid until an ambulance can come as well.
So you're really the first responder in its pure word.
First responder. And, I think it goes without saying, too, is that when there's hurricanes and other natural disasters, we get some bad thunderstorms as well, too. We're kind of that first response that we're out in the field to try and help clear trees. We want to make sure we can have access to the whole island, things like that as well, too. Any emergency, we do have the cars that get stuck in the water sometimes as well, too. So we've worked really hard to concentrate on those things and prepare for the major emergencies. but also be really proficient at the minor emergencies as well.
So tell us a little bit about the skills of your team, right? And maybe a little bit of what the career path is and the training. I mean, how do you get to a 148 strong team of experts in what they are doing?
Sure. Just like myself, I started off as a firefighter, green as they come. What we have in the States called the Firefighter 1 and 2 program. It's several hundred hours that you go through. It goes through everything. Teaches you how to throw ground ladders, teaches you how to pull hose off the truck, basic first aid, things like that. So that's a long process, and you are tested by the state on that process as well too. So at St. John's, we have recruit academies. So we have people new that whether they worked somewhere else and wanted to come and be a firefighter, we can train them to do that as well too. And they go through, in order for them to promote, they can go to engineer, who's the people who drive the apparatus. Then we have captains, they're in charge of the entire crew on the truck. And so those career paths, you start kind of building up classes. There's stuff, officer development classes where you learn more leadership skills, things like that. Pump ops class, maybe one of the most boring classes ever, but in order for us to get water into the truck and then out of the truck, takes a lot of mathematics and a lot of skill as well, quick thinking as well too. So lots of different career paths. We have fire investigators that come out and determine causes of fires as well too. There's so many different things. We've got our boat team, our marine team. So right here at the station behind us, we have a small boat that we use for the Kiawah River. And then also at Bohicket Marina, we have our large firefighting vessel. It's almost 40 feet in length. So you can get into that. There's all sorts of certifications with those as well. So lots of different things.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, I would assume you grew up as a little boy, wanted to be a fireman. So how did this whole develop for you?
I'm from Saginaw, Michigan, a little town north of Detroit. My dad was a volunteer fireman in a little township next to where I grew up as well too. So I grew up going to the fire station with him. They weren't very busy, which is a good thing. But I grew up going on the truck, washing the truck. We did a lot of that, and then going upstairs and playing pool with some of the guys and things like that. So I knew it. I kind of liked it. I actually went to school, started going to school for something else, and then my best friend joined. The fire department was hired, and he goes, "Man, this is awesome. You should come check it out." And I said, it kind of jogged some memories for me, and that's how I started in the fire department in Saginaw, and then moved to the Charleston area about 13 years ago for some career opportunities. And I've been in Charleston area ever since, and with St. John's for the last 8 years. And luckily, I was able to kind of move through the ranks, get my schooling done, get some national certifications, and now I'm here to serve at the pleasure of your fire chief.
Super. Thank you. So let's dive maybe into a little bit of an example. We just recently had a fire on the island that many of us, of course, know about at the beach club. Tell us a little bit how this works for your team. What happened? Where you dispatch? I mean, just tell us a little bit about the story behind.
So remember, we're 24/7, 365. There's no gaps in coverage out here. We're there. So this call came in about 4 a.m. So our people are fast asleep when that comes in. So what happens is the beach club fire is they had a fire in the kitchen area of the beach club. The actual fire alarm system in the building went off, and that alerted the dispatch center in Charleston, which then dispatches our unit. So when our first fire truck got on scene, they got on there and there was smoke coming out of the front door, and they said, "This is a little bit more than just a fire alarm." And so they upgraded that package. So right off of the bat, when we say there's a fire somewhere, particularly at like a commercial building, you get 5 engines, which are 5 trucks that carry water, and then 2 big ladder trucks as well too, and what we call a rescue. So we put on scene within about 10, 15 minutes, we put on scene about 20 firefighters, which is really good. And we have partnerships with Charleston Fire Department. They are our neighbors on Johns Island as well too. And now we have what's called automatic aid. So it doesn't matter where you are, you'll get the closest fire truck no matter what. So when they get there, they have a fire, they start literally pulling hose, going inside, trying to find the seat of the fire. That one was a little difficult because A, it's 4 in the morning, it's dark. And then B, it was kind of a small, stubborn fire in the kitchen as well too. So they had to kind of work to find it and get the seat of that fire and get it out.
So how long did it take them to put it out?
Yeah, so we had that fire under control in less than 30 minutes. So we had initial knockdown of the fire. Those crews cycle out and a new crew goes in. and they actually started cutting a hole in the floor to make sure all the fire was out. So there's some residual operations going on as they're trying to put the fire out and try to go underneath the floor and get that fire out. So.
Okay. And how long does it all took for you guys? I mean, until you departed, you were there for hours, or?
I think we were there I left about 6:30. Our guys were just kind of finishing up and clearing up. So we were pretty much done in a couple hours. Sometimes though, you let the heat kind of come down. We will also do some things as well we'll try to clean up some of the water and try to mitigate some of the damage as well too.
Very cool. Yeah. So let's look a little bit into the future. So we currently have 3 apparatus on the island. I think there's a 4th one waiting for a crew to come, given our growth. But there's also so much growth in all the other areas that you cover. I mean, as you said earlier, you cover Seabrook and Johns Island and Watmala, and I think even parts of West Ashley probably. So how do you foresee this to impact your team, your services, et cetera, going forward in the next 5 years?
This area is growing pretty rapidly, not just Kiawah, but the areas of Johns Island we cover as well. We have 7 total stations, 2 of which are on Kiawah. The rest are on Johns Island, Seabrook, and Watmala Island as well too. So we're already looking at future development that's coming and where we strategically place fire stations, and then also how we get the people to staff those fire stations as well too. And that's really important as this kind of Freshfields area grows. We already have kind of our sights set on something in the next, within the next 10 years, on hopefully in that area, which will benefit obviously Kiawah as well too. We're going to build a new fire station in the Kiawah River development on Betsy Carson, which is going to help Kiawah as well. So we already have kind of big plans for apparatus, stations, things like that. We're looking 5, 10, 15 years down the road to see what our needs will be.
Great. So let's talk about the apparatus behind us.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about this machine.
Yeah.
I mean, it not only looks incredible, but I'm sure it does incredible things.
Yeah, so this is a brand new ladder truck. So what we really have is engines and ladder trucks, essentially. Engines are vessels for putting out fires. They have the hose and the water already on them. Our ladder trucks, obviously they have a big ladder so we can get on roofs. We can do ventilation a little bit more. They have a little bit more of a specialized job. They usually do search and rescue. So if you have a fire in your home and there may be somebody inside, this is the crew that will go in and actually search for them. Yeah. The engine crew will put the fire out. These guys will go in and search for them. This is new. We designed this for Kiawah Island. It's 107 feet the ladder can go to, which is pretty high for a ladder truck. That's kind of the standard, kind of the top end of the ladder trucks. But it's on a single axle, so it's very, very tight wheelbase. We can get into very tight areas. We have some of that out here on Kiawah where it's tight driveways and things like that. And then we designed this truck to go into those areas as well too. So it's going to be very good. This will probably be in service for at least 15 years on Kiawah.
And how big is the team that rides on that truck?
So this has 4 people on
4.
it. So it's an engineer who drives it, a captain, and then there's 2 firefighters. Every day there will be 4 people assigned to this truck, which is the industry standard.
Exactly. Yeah. Chief Kunitzer, this was great. Thank you very much. This was very exciting. And of course, before we close, I have to say that I'm personally, so appreciative for all the services that you and your team do. And I know from a lot of, if not all, our community members, they really, really appreciate what you're doing and the speed by which you're doing these services for us as a community. Thank you very much for your service and your dedication to this town.
You're welcome. Last thing I'll say to the community is our doors are always open. Even if you see a door closed, please come stop in. It's your fire department. These are your fire trucks. These are your firefighters. Come in and meet them. They all have great stories. And, we love seeing kids on the truck as well, too. So anything we can do. And any questions, please contact us. We're happy to help with anything.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope this was very interesting for you. And you learned a great deal. I certainly learned a great deal about our fire department. This was wonderful. Thank you for tuning in and spending the time with us today. There's more of these great video podcasts coming with interesting people, interesting topics that we want to bring to you and give you the chance to meet people and learn more about this. And until then, enjoy this wonderful island and the great weather we have here. And Chief, thank you again.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you.